Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Like Ashley said, we're going to take just a little bit of your time this morning and talk about streamlining engineering and maintenance communication with the Meridian systems. So just to introduce myself a little bit, like she said, my name is Jeremy Clay. I'm a document management specialist with Hagerman. I've been in the field for about 13 years with pharma and engineering businesses. And about 2.5 years ago, I joined the Hagerman team. I've been doing software installs and customizations with them since then. So work with the Meridian system and integration with AutoCAD and other systems for pretty consistently over the last 15 years or so. All right, so today, just to give you a brief kind of overview about some of the topics we're going to talk about in the meeting today. First, what are some problems that are encountered with engineering and maintenance during their communications? I know a lot of companies struggle in this area. There's always room for improvement, no matter how good or bad we do at it. So we're going to discuss some things we can do with that. What is the maintenance connection module and the asset management module, and how are they used within Meridian application? Basically, what benefits can we get with those? Are there any struggles that they help us resolve? Any topics like that. How does the Meridian software solution assist during addressing the problems? Like I mentioned before, we're going to go through and even kind of show you an example of what that's going to look like, how it can not only increase your productivity, but make things safer and just overall better for the company. So last, we'll talk about why should companies leverage the Asset Manager module and the benefits it can provide, and who will see the benefits after leveraging the asset module. All right, so kind of just an overview and the purpose of what we're talking about here today is maintenance and engineering teams, they really rely heavily on each other for their daily responsibilities. So they're involved in designing and executing and developing projects and day-to-day functionality within facilities and operations. Throughout this process, critical decisions are made based off information that's available to them. No matter what the occasion is or whatever comes at them, they use information that they can find quickly to solve issues and to make the best decision that they can at the time. So just for example, some types of information that might be used to make these decisions, things like piping and instrumentation diagrams, layout drawings to show locations of equipment or exits or things like that, company standard operating procedures, maintenance manuals, maybe isometric drawings or inspection reports. So once again, those are just some examples of some of the types of documentation that can be used to help make decisions during day-to-day activity. So maybe some questions or concerns that your maintenance or engineering teams might have whenever they're working in their day-to-day functions. First off, how long does it take to find the right information? Do you have to bounce around between 15 different systems to find what you need? When you find it, can you trust the information that's most current? Are you confident that you've located what's correct? Has anybody changed it? Does it need to be updated after a project? Do I have access to the information? Do I need to request access, which would take even longer to get permissions to? Has anybody modified it? Or is the information just missing? Can I just not find it at all? So these all affect what decisions we make in a daily activity in the maintenance and engineering fields. So whenever we're making these decisions, what are the impact that they could have if the decision is made either incorrectly or too quickly with the wrong information? So first bullet point here, proper asset management and documentation. If things are done correctly, it allows you to ensure performance of mission critical assets. So kind of to summarize that, if there's equipment that's crucial to you making product or to you getting a service completed, that thing needs to be serviced and maintained so that it doesn't go down unexpectedly, or that you can push as much product as you need to through there. So these practices can help you meet product timelines and quotas. Doing proper asset management and documentation can also avoid costly operational disruptions. So you can ensure equipment is properly maintained and serviced. So once again, less equipment downtime with pieces not being broken unexpectedly, pumps not failing. You know, you have planned service times and things are scheduled around so that you can continue to operate and function without some unexpected time being down. When those times do happen, you know, we waste time of our resources with engineering and maintenance both. So this can drastically affect, you know, project timelines, resources that are created, and just overall just kind of waste money, right? If you have people sitting around waiting for things to get done because something broke, that can cost time and money and impact schedules. So once again, not a good thing. Another thing that can happen, costly mistakes for improper design due to improper documentation. So if you rely on some documentation that's incorrect to purchase some equipment or to design a process or to have anything fit into an area, you know, this could all be timely mistakes if the documentation is not correct or if it's just can't find it at all and you have to create it from scratch. And finally, during the overall life cycle of equipment, all this, whether you're purchasing new, you're upgrading existing, or demolition of old equipment, you know, the documentation is crucial to making sure that things are maintained and stick to the timeline. All right, so on to the next. So what are some solutions that we might have when we're working with engineering maintenance teams tied to assets? What can be done to reduce these concerns? First and foremost, Accruent offers a module from Meridian that drastically reduces the risk and majority of the concerns. This is called the Asset Management Module. We're going to focus on that here in just a few minutes or the next couple slides. We can simplify processes associated with the risk and concerns that we've discussed above. So ways we would do that, we could provide standard processes for storing and managing documentation so that we know where things are, we know how they're managed, and we do the same thing repeatedly throughout the company. We can reduce department silos for improved interdepartment communications. So basically, simplify and standardize practices to share throughout the company. So not only engineering may function in one way, maintenance functions in another, but if we can tear down the silos and communicate together, then the whole company will see benefit from that improvement there. And finally, we can review and improve company policies and procedures. So once things are simplified, procedures are working, they're in place, then we can standardize and share that, not only throughout our own group, but throughout the company, as we mentioned there. So make sure you document those and share them with everyone. All right, so now let's focus on the asset management module and what this can be leveraged for. So first, just to give you a brief overview, the Meridian Asset Management Module is an enterprise add-on module for the Meridian system. Accruent's kind of definition of this is it's a module that enhances, automates, and streamlines asset operations throughout their life cycle by linking them with engineering content such as drawing and technical specifications. So long story short is you can link supporting documents to your critical assets that you own so that information is ready and available as needed in one central location. The module also allows you to integrate with the maintenance management systems like Maximo, SAP PM, DataStream, and Ultimo, and with facility management systems like Archibus and FAMUS. So not only is it a standalone system add-on for Meridian, but it integrates with all your other CMM applications that are used to manage the asset data as well. All right, so what's involved in the asset management module? What are the components that you need? So first, you need a computerized maintenance management system, or a CMMS. So What this does is it's a master system for management of the asset information. Examples are Maximo, SAP, DataStream, and Ultimo. Next, a Meridian Vault. So this is the location where we're going to store and manage our documentation. Things such as drawings, owner manuals, procedures, reports, photographs. And this is also a secure location that you can rely on and know that the latest and greatest information is there and available at all times. Thirdly, we need a Meridian Explorer repository. So this is a central repository for documents and respective renditions. This is a read-only repository for documents that allows for searching and reviewing of documents quickly and easily. And then lastly, we need the Meridian client software, whether it's Power Web or the Explorer client. So the Power Web is used to create links between objects and assets. The Explorer client's used to view those by your maintenance personnel. So those are the key components to the Meridian Asset Management Module system. Next, we're going to talk about how does this asset management module really work. So in summary, the way that this works is the CMMS supplies information to Meridian in a read-only format. So the asset information is sent daily to the Meridian Vault and stored as a tag object. Only specified information is supplied, so you're not going to have thousands of rows of information about this. You're going to have select dedicated specific information for your assets, and it's stored in Meridian as a read-only object called a tag object. Once that information is in Meridian, tag object references can be created between a tag object and a supporting document in Power Web. So once you have things like your operating manuals, your supporting drawings, your owner's manuals, you simply create a reference link between the appropriate tag object and the supporting document in Meridian. Once those are created, your maintenance users can search their CMM system and select a supporting documents hyperlink. What this does is it transitions directly from the CMMS system to the Explorer client with one mouse click. Not only does it pass you to the Explorer client, but it also passes filtering information that allows you to go directly to that asset that you are looking at and see the supported documents that have been linked to it in Meridian. The other good thing about this is documents are all renditioned, which means they are PDF documents. So there's one way to view all types of files. You look at the rendition or the PDF, and you can easily view and print it, download it, mark it up, whatever else needs to be done. You're not wasting time trying to get additional softwares or mark it up in an incompatible way. All right, so now let's take a look at what this process actually looks like as a maintenance user. So in summary, how this looks is if we start in the top left corner, the CMMS user is going to perform a search. Let's say they search on asset 361. Once they find it in the system, they're going to click the supporting documents hyperlink. So this is the tree over on the left. You guys can see this here. So we'll start at the top, we'll work our way down. Once we click the supporting documents, you're leaving the CMMS system. And the Explorer client window on the right is now loaded. So as you can see, there's already filters passed that the tag object 361 has been highlighted and is already there. So once we click on it, you'll see a long list of supporting documents that have been linked in Meridian. Notice they're all PDFs. So if you right click on the document, you get a few options to look at either properties or you can open the viewer. Once you open the viewer, it's a standard PDF. So to kind of break down the viewing window here, if you look at the top left, you'll see there's a title of the document. And you have some options here for viewing tools, whether you want to zoom, navigate around, anything like that. On the bottom left, you'll see there's a page number. So whether the document is 5 pages or 105 pages, you can navigate through those easily and quickly. You can print by clicking the top right icon. to printing. You print it to a hard copy or print a PDF or download the PDF or whatever you need to do. And last, you can switch between supporting documents by using the next or back buttons here in the bottom. So it's a quick and easy way to navigate, to view, to print, to have everything that you need in one location without having to switch between systems and waste time there. So who really benefits when we're using this asset management module? Is it maintenance? Is it engineering? Is it finance? Who knows? So let's talk about that for a second. So maintenance users in the field, they really benefit because, one, they can be confident in the information they use to make their decisions daily. And this is kind of the overall topic that we started our conversations with. So they can have confidence and revision controls in place for controlled documentation so that they know that they have the latest and greatest and it hasn't been modified outside the system. Maintenance also is worried about consistent single point of truth for reliable information. So there's not an owner's manual in Uncle Joe's desk across the maintenance shed that you have to go look at. No, all the information can be stored here in a single place where it can be managed and shared with everyone. Once again, less time lost searching for information. So you're not having to switch between different systems. You not have to go out in the field and find hard copies or look at documents that have had coffee spilt on them. You can go print new, you know exactly where they're at, and you have easy PDFs that you can view and print quickly. Another piece that having a PDF allows is you can do quick and easy redlining with the Adobe markup tools. So once you download the PDF, you can quickly mark it up, send it to an engineer or a CAD operator for review or for updates, and quickly start that process. And then one of the biggest improvements that I think the maintenance team sees, or at least saw whenever I was in the field, was continuous documentation improvements. As people find information that's useful or helpful or even critical whenever they're working on something, once you create the link, it's always there. So the next time you or another user has to deal with a similar situation, the information is already there, linked, and properly displayed. So as maintenance users, those are some of the benefits that you'd see. Engineering. So some things in engineering would be knowledge sharing, right? So just putting information in a centralized location is one way to share it with other people. So once again, you're not isolating it to just yourself. You can share it with others very easily and quickly. Centralized project completion process. So there's one location to store and manage documents. So everybody closes out projects the exact same way. Documentation goes the same place. The same process is handled in creating the links. So you're standardizing things. Easy management of tag object references. So it's very simple to create and manage those tags. So it's not a bunch of additional time and work and effort to get this system set up and functioning. So once again, the ability for bulk linking of files during project completion. So if you finish a project and you need to import 500 documents or 500 tags with 1,000 documents, we can do that with an Excel sheet and automate the linking process. So it's not a one-by-one create or remove link. And then once again, the engineers also see the continuous documentation improvements as well, sharing information and leveraging stuff that's been linked previously. And finally, there's some other teams that benefit from this as well. Your EHS or environmental health and safety. They can be confident that critical documents that they're using for their processes are accurate. When you're dealing with EH&S and they're doing safety studies and things, it's very crucial to them that they know they can confident that they have information that's been reviewed and accurate. Mechanical integrity. Storage and maintenance of inspection reports and required documentation is crucial. During audits and during inspections, this information is crucial to successful audits and Also, you can link multiple assets to a single document, so there's no reason to store 10 or 15 copies of the same owner's manual. You can store it one time and link it to 10 or 15 assets. So that reduces, the amount of stuff that you have to manage in the field, and it reduces the amount of documents that are managed. And lastly, finance and purchasing. Storage and maintenance of project financial documents can be linked to the tag objects. So even documents related to specifications and estimates and purchase orders that were written for specific equipment can all be stored and managed here in linked to assets, so it's all centralized information. So if these processes aren't leveraged or aren't taken advantage of, what is kind of the worst case scenario? What are the bad outcomes that could happen? Like we said, first, unsafe working environments. If the safety procedure is not followed, or if it has incorrect information, there could be a catastrophe. Somebody could get hurt. Somebody could miss a valve when they're isolating a piece of equipment, and could be devastating. Failed audit reports or inspections. So if you have improper documentation submitted to a government body during an inspection, you could be fined. You could be, have processes stopped, and it could be a very bad deal. Mechanical integrity, improper equipment maintenance due to lack of documentation. So if a very expensive piece of equipment is not maintained the way it should be, you could lose that asset way before you're expected to. And finally, product defects. You have product recalls or defects due to GMP failures from missing or outdated procedures and documentations. So if this stuff isn't managed and put in the system correctly or followed correctly, it can be a big cost by product recalls or by failed product outcomes. So in summary, the asset management module and Meridian can be used to not only save engineering maintenance time and effort and communication skills, but overall just good practices in general for your maintenance of your equipment and your facilities.